If you knew death was coming sooner than you thought, how would you live today? Would you keep doing what you're doing right now? Would you still put off that dream? Delay that phone call? Pretend you have all the time in the world? Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, left behind timeless wisdom on how to live fully before the end comes. It's not about fear, it's about clarity. It's about seeing the truth of life so clearly that you can finally stop wasting your most precious currency time. Here's the thing. Most people don't realize what truly matters until they're out of time. And when they look back, it's not the missed promotions or the houses they didn't buy that haunt them. It's the moments they could have lived, but didn't. That's why this video matters. Because you don't have to wait until the clock is almost at zero to start living. In this video, we're going to explore Jung's most powerful life lessons, before-death insights that can help you strip away the noise, see your true priorities, and live with meaning right now. These aren't abstract theories. They're practical, actionable shifts you can start today. How to live as your true self instead of the mask the world expects. How to make peace with the parts of yourself you've been hiding. How to align your daily choices with the legacy you want to leave. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to live with the kind of meaning most people only discover in their final days. You'll have a roadmap not just to avoid regret, but to build a life you'll be proud to look back on. So, if you're ready to stop drifting, if you're ready to take Jung's timeless advice and make every day count, let's begin. Carl Jung believed that truly understanding our own mortality isn't morbid, it's liberating. Because when you remember that your time is limited, the noise fades and the essentials rise to the surface. Most people live as if they have unlimited tomorrows. They say, I'll do it later. I'll call them next week. I'll start that project someday. But here's the truth, someday is not a day on the calendar. I once heard a story about a man who received a terminal diagnosis. Instead of collapsing into despair, he sat down with a notebook and wrote 2 lists. One list of all the things that were draining his time, but adding no joy or meaning. And another list of the things that truly made his heart feel alive. Within a month, he quit his high-paying but soul-crushing job, moved closer to his grandchildren, and started painting again, something he hadn't done since college. He said it was the first time in decades he felt truly alive. That's the strange gift of knowing time is short. It cuts through the illusion that we have forever. It forces us to ask what actually matters. Jung saw this as a kind of psychological awakening. When death becomes real in your mind, life becomes sharper, more vivid, more intentional. You stop chasing things that only impress others. You start pursuing things that fulfill you. Now I want you to pause for a moment and imagine, if you had just 1 year left, what would you stop doing today? Would you walk away from the job that drains your soul? Would you finally tell someone you love them? Would you book that trip, start that book, mend that broken relationship? The point isn't to panic. The point is to get clarity, because clarity is power. And when you have it, your decisions change. You start saying no to things out of alignment with your values without guilt. You spend more time in places and with people who make you feel grounded, seen, and alive. You begin to design your days around meaning, not just momentum. And here's the practical takeaway. You don't need a diagnosis or a crisis to make this shift. You can do it right now by asking yourself 3 simple questions every morning. If today were my last, what would I want to experience? What can I let go of that's wasting my energy? What's one meaningful action I can take before the day ends? Over time, these questions rewire your priorities. They make you hyper-aware of the value of each hour. And that awareness, that Jungian awareness of mortality, is what will keep you from drifting through life on autopilot. Here's the truth Jung understood: when you see your own ending, you finally start your real beginning. That's why so many people at the end of their lives say, "I wish I had lived more." They're not talking about money. They're talking about moments and the courage to choose them. So let's not wait until the sand in the hourglass is almost gone. Let's start living with that clarity now. Carl Jung warned us about something that might sound poetic, but is deeply practical. Most of us are not living as our true selves. We're living as our persona. That persona is like a mask you've worn for so long, you forget it's not your real face. It's the version of you that fits in, that plays the roles society gave you, that avoids judgment, but often at the cost of your soul. I once met a man who had been a lawyer for 15 years. He was good at it, respected, well paid, but he felt hollow inside. One day, while walking past a street artist, he remembered something he had once dreamed of: being a painter. That memory hit him so hard he couldn't ignore it. Within a year, he left his law career to pursue art full-time. It wasn't easy, but it was real. And real is worth more than perfect. Jung's point is this: you cannot live fully before death if you're not living as you. The world might reward your mask, but only your soul will reward your truth. So ask yourself, if all judgment and expectation disappeared tomorrow, who would you be? What would you create? How would you spend your days? But there's another step to living authentically, and Jung called it integrating your shadow. Your shadow is not just the dark parts of you. It's every trait, desire, and impulse you've pushed away because you thought they were bad or unacceptable. The anger you deny, the envy you pretend you don't feel, the mistakes you've buried so deep you hope no one remembers. Here's the truth Jung discovered: what you refuse to face will control you from the dark. But when you bring it into the light, when you look it in the eye, learn from it, and even forgive yourself, you become whole. Think about it. Maybe you snapped at someone out of jealousy. If you deny that jealousy exists, you'll keep doing it unconsciously. But if you admit, "Yes, I felt jealous," you can understand it, heal it, and stop it from sabotaging you again. And here's the beautiful part: when you stop judging yourself so harshly, you automatically stop judging others. You realize everyone has shadows. Everyone is imperfect. And life feels lighter when you stop pretending it's otherwise. Living as your true self while embracing your shadow isn't easy. It takes courage. It takes honesty. But it also takes love for the parts of you that are still growing. Because at the end of your life, you won't wish you'd been more acceptable to others. You'll wish you had been more authentic to yourself. What mask have you been wearing? And is it time to set it down? And what part of your shadow have you been avoiding? That might actually be your greatest teachers. Carl Jung believed the greatest journey of your life isn't the one stamped in your passport. It's the one that leads you back to yourself. He called it individuation, the process of becoming who you were meant to be, living in alignment with your deepest values and full potential. But here's the thing: individuation often calls you to take the harder path. It asks you to leave the safety of what's comfortable, to risk the approval of others, and to step into a version of yourself that even you might not fully recognize yet. Think of the woman who walked away from a secure corporate job. On paper, she had everything: stability, benefits, a clear career ladder. But every morning, she felt the quiet ache of meaning slipping away. When she finally chose to follow her calling, starting a nonprofit to help underserved communities, she didn't just change her career. She changed her life. Jung would say this is exactly what individuation looks like. Answering that inner pull, even when logic tells you to stay put. Because deep down, you know safety without meaning is just another kind of prison. Maybe you felt it too, that persistent whisper that says, "This isn't it." there's more you're meant to do. It might be a dream you've ignored for decades. It might be the part of you that feels most alive when you're creating teaching, traveling, healing, or building something from scratch. Individuation is not about throwing your life into chaos for the sake of change. It's about recognizing the life that is authentically yours and having the courage to walk toward it. Jung warned that ignoring this call has consequences. The longer you suppress your true self, the more likely you are to feel restless, resentful, or hollow, even if everything looks successful from the outside. But when you do answer that call, your life starts to feel like it's moving in the right direction. You attract people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with the real you. If you stripped away every should in your life, what would you choose instead? And what's one small step you could take this week to move closer to that vision? Because one day the time to follow your calling will run out. And when that day comes, you'll want to know you didn't just play a role in someone else's story, you lived your own. Carl Jung believed that without a spiritual dimension, life can feel like a house without a foundation. You might have achievements, possessions, and even moments of joy, but something essential will always feel incomplete. Spiritual depth isn't about rigid religion or strict doctrine. It's about opening a space inside yourself where the noise of daily life quiets down and meaning has room to speak. For some, that doorway is nature standing beneath ancient redwoods, listening to the ocean's rhythm or watching the stars until you remember how small and yet how connected you are. For others, it's art, losing yourself in a symphony, painting a canvas, or writing words that feel like they came from somewhere beyond you. Jung saw spirituality as a vital part of individuation and the process of becoming your whole self. He argued that the human psyche needs connection with something larger than the ego, a sense of belonging to the vast, mysterious web of life. Think about it. When was the last time you truly felt awe? Not just that's nice, but the kind of awe that stops you in your tracks, makes you breathe slower, and reminds you there's more to existence than your to-do list. Maybe you've been living entirely in the practical bills, deadlines, errands, and you've forgotten that your soul has its own needs. Without spiritual nourishment, we risk living as efficient machines rather than as full human beings. Jung warned that this emptiness often shows up as burnout anxiety, or the nagging feeling that something is missing. The solution isn't to escape your life. It's to enrich it with moments of depth. That could mean taking a quiet walk without your phone, lighting a candle and journaling, visiting a place that inspires you, or spending time with people who speak to your spirit rather than your schedule. So I'll ask you, if your life feels flat, where can you add more meaning? Where can you listen for the whispers of something greater than yourself? Because when you reconnect with spiritual depth, whether through prayer, poetry, or the forest trail at dawn, you're not just adding beauty to your days. You're giving your soul the nourishment it's been craving all along. Carl Jung often reminded us that life is not just about existing in the now, nor is it only about chasing a distant future. The real art of living is finding a balance where we deeply savor the present moment while planting seeds that will grow long after we're gone. Think about it. It's easy to get lost in someday. Someday I'll take that trip. Someday I'll write that book. But someday has a habit of never showing up unless we make it today. At the same time, living only for today without caring about tomorrow can leave nothing behind, no roots, no impact, no legacy. Living in the present might mean savoring your morning coffee without rushing, noticing the smile of a stranger, or taking your grandkids to the park and really listening to their stories. But building a legacy means asking, what will they remember about me when I'm gone? It's not about grand monuments. It's about small, consistent acts that ripple forward. Maybe that's passing down a family tradition, Maybe it's sharing your life lessons so others don't have to repeat your mistakes. Maybe it's contributing your time, skills, or resources to a cause you believe in, something that will continue to grow even when you're no longer here to tend it. Jung saw legacy not as an ego-driven trophy, but as an extension of the self, a way for your values to outlive your physical body. When you blend joy in the moment with purposeful contribution, you create a life that feels rich now and resonates far beyond your lifetime. Ask yourself, if you only had 1 year left, how would you spend your days? And if you knew you'd live for 50 more, what would you want to leave behind? The truth is, the best life is built by holding both questions at once. So today, pause and enjoy what's right in front of you. The laugh of a friend, the warmth of sunlight, the comfort of home. And while you do, take one step towards something that will still matter years from now. Because a life well lived isn't just measured in moments enjoyed. It's measured in the legacy those moments inspire. We've covered a lot today, but if there's one message Carl Jung would want you to take with you, it's this: time is finite. You don't get to know how many pages are left in your story. But by applying these lessons, you can make sure that every day starting today is one worth living. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Don't wait until the clock runs out to start living. The truth is, meaning isn't something you stumble upon in the final chapters of life. It's something you create in the small choices you make right now. So here's my challenge for you. What's one lesson you wish you could tell your younger self? Something you've learned. Maybe the hard way that could save someone else years of wandering. Type it in the comments below. Your words might be the light someone else needs today. If you found value in these insights, hit that subscribe button and join this community. We go deep into topics like life lessons to learn early the meaning of life through Jung's lens and how to avoid regrets in life. Because this isn't just about understanding psychology, it's about transforming the way you live. You can't control how long your story will be, but you can decide to make every page worth reading. So start now, before the clock runs out.